Why do scientists use models? If I ask you to picture a scientist, what comes to mind? Well, if you search on Google Images, you'll see pictures of people wearing white coats, working in a lab, looking down microscopes. But I'm a scientist, and when I start work, I turn on my computer. Because, like many other scientists, my work doesn't include experiments in a lab. Instead, I use models. But what is a model? A model is a simple representation of reality. It helps us to understand how something works or will work. Models are made possible by mathematics to represent the real world in some way. It's a little bit like a video game, where the virtual world is a process, like a weather system or an ocean current system. In the virtual world of a model, we can test lots of different scenarios to see what the outcome can be. And just like a video game, models aren't exactly like the real world. Models are not, nor ever will be, perfect. But they're a great way to carry out experiments that would otherwise be impossible to run. Say, for example, you want to find out the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that are released from cattle in Ireland. We can use sensors to measure the emissions from each animal. But in Ireland, we have 7 million cattle, compared to 5 million people. Even if every person in Ireland was to measure the emissions from one animal, we would still have 2 million animals left over. Obviously, this would be a very time-consuming and expensive way to get this information. Thankfully, we have models. In order to get the necessary information, we only need to measure the emissions from a small sample of animals in the population. We then use a model to combine this with other information, like the number of different types of cattle, calves, cows, bulls, steers, and heifers, to estimate the total amount of emissions. Models are only ever as good as the information you put into them. If your model has a clearly defined purpose, is a good representation of reality, and you understand its limitations, then you have a useful model. With models, we can even answer questions about the future. No crystal ball required. For example, what are the likely impacts of introducing a technology to reduce greenhouse gas emissions? This is why maths is so important to science. So, the next time you picture a scientist, you can think of someone like me, working at my computer, because, like microscopes and white coats, models are another crucial tool for scientists to generate information.